Did you know that ThoughtSpot do releases every month? And I don't just mean security patches that the average user doesn't even notice. I'm talking real features, new functionality and capabilities, often in collaboration with the user community. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's check out what's new in ThoughtSpot Cloud version 10.11. Hi, I'm Steve from 7D Experts, and in this series I'll be walking you through the highlights of each ThoughtSpot release. ThoughtSpot do releases monthly, which means, whilst it might sound obvious, 12 times a year the product is getting upgraded. And I don't mean patches that don't impact 99% of the users. These are brand new features or enhancements to existing functionality, often as a result of feature requests direct from the growing ThoughtSpot community. The point I'm making here is ThoughtSpot are not standing still. They are pushing the boundaries of what is possible in BI tooling and continually improving their product. Can the same be said for other BI tools? From my experience, I don't believe it can. For full details of what is in this release, as well as previous, check out the ThoughtSpot docs site. But for this one, there's loads to run through, so let's get going. So as you can see here, there's a good amount to get through, and we'll start off with a bang with some new spotter functionality, followed by Liveboard styling and grouping, which is a welcome addition. So without further ado, let's look at the why questions in Spotter. Okay, so let's access Spotter first of all. I'll do it straight from this KPI chart. Spotter opens up, it's got that KPI chart now as its context, and I'm going to ask why sales have dropped between here and here. Why was there a decrease in sales there? Why did sales drop between April 2023 and November 2023? You can see there Spotter says, why did sales drop between those periods? And then it gives me a bit of a kind of an opening paragraph, and it explains firstly what it's going to do, what sort of analysis it's going to undertake. So it says, it points out that total sales decreased by nearly 47% between that period. Then it's going to compare the periods, break them down by various attributes, and then identify the top contributors. So you can see we've got total sales split out by state here, and it says Nevada, Montana, and New Jersey, the top contributors. Does the similar analysis but by city, by store, sales by product, and by region. So it does all that analysis, and then this is the meaningful bit here at the end. It tells you the reasons for the drop in sales. It's primarily driven by significant declines in several key states, cities, stores, products and regions, etc., giving you all the detail, and then some key insights. So this is really powerful stuff. As an analyst, it would take you hours, if not days or weeks, to sometimes answer the why questions, why numbers have changed, why the product is not selling as well. So this is a real great sort of step forward in terms of the AI agent that you've got access to, and you can use at any point within a meeting. You can just fire up Spotter, ask the questions, ask the why questions, and get that information that you need. Another part of this new release is a very minor one really, but it's just this expand button here. So within Spotter, you're asking questions, it fires up a chart, you want to look in a bit more detail. It's purely giving you the option to open this up in a bit more of a full screen view, and then you can do the usual toggles into table view or chart view, etc. And you can see the tokens that it's using in more detail. But it's just handy being able to look at the charts that it's telling you about and expand. Certainly useful if you're presenting or something like that. A Liveboard and answers grouping. So this is a really nice one actually. So what we do, we're in a standard Liveboard here, as you can see. You can edit the Liveboard, and you get this styling panel up here in the top right hand corner. It's a new option, and if you select that, you've got a few different options. But if I come out of that for now, I'll just close that down again. What you can do, you can see if I select an answer on this Liveboard, you've got a few different options coming up. This one is just the different tile sizes, so that's nothing new, it's just a slightly different way of changing those. But then you get this option of moving it to tab. But if I select these KPIs, holding down Control on my keyboard and selecting many of them, now you get this option to group, or we've got, what's this one, being able to move them to tab. But if I group, you'll see that now all of these get grouped together. You can see that there. And if I select that and then open up the styling panel, we're now looking at some styling options just for that group. So we've got the title and description for the group. So I can, if I untick description here, for example, we'll see this description field disappear. And same for the title, of course, you can get rid of that. And then we've got another one here, just answers inside a group. We can remove the description from those. That's already been done as part of the actual answers on those. They don't have a description. But I could leave title in there. I could go and give this a title such as KPIs. And then we've got some color options here. So you can ever so slightly change the color of these. They're fairly subtle changes, but I guess you don't want anything too loud at this stage anyway. We'll go with Liveboard default and then just hit save on that. And then furthermore, what you can do is, whilst you're in the edit option, you can select one particular answer, give it a color. You can also go out and select the entire Liveboard. And you've got some options here, such as being able to change the color of the entire Liveboard. So that's the background. You've got corner styles, so you can adjust. If you look at the edge of this group here, we've got sort of sharp edges or curved edges. Again, on the Liveboard itself, you can get rid of the title. You can get rid of the descriptions from any answers within a group, which we did for that particular group, or you can get rid of the description for any of the answers. So there's a few different ways of just being able to configure the Liveboard now, and it just gives it a bit more of a modern look, I suppose. And it's also very useful for being able to get that Liveboard a little bit more on brand with perhaps your company color scheme and such like. Okay, so this next one is dynamic parameters and charts. So before we dive into it, what does that actually mean? Well, this is all around being able to use a parameter to select the values that are in a chart, and that could actually swap out some of the dimensions or some of the measures. So let's show you that. We'll use this chart. On this, you can use any chart, can be used in all sorts of different places, but I'll just use a nice basic chart like this. We've got sales for product top 15. What we can do, firstly, we can create a parameter to give the user the ability to switch between different attributes or measures, and then we can put a formula in there to do the switching for them. So let's call this attribute, and I'm going to call it parameter, so it's nice and easy to find later on. It's going to be a string, it's going to be a list, and we're going to list out the attributes we want to make available. So we'll have product, let's do city, let's do state. The default we'll make as product. So that's very easy. Next we'll create a formula. We'll say if, we'll do attribute parameter, and again I called it parameter so I can find it very easily in this list. Attribute parameter equals, and this is going to be the string value, so product space gives me the close brackets. Then we want product, else if attribute parameter equals state, then state else city. There we go, we've got the green text down the bottom here, so the formula is ready to save. This is going to be the attribute, I'll just call it the measure. We'll hit save. Let's go into the settings, and where we've got product here, let's get rid of that, and let's put attribute measure in there. Now because the attribute is already set to city, when I hit apply, we'll see that there we get the cities across the bottom. Likewise, if I go to state, that's going to change this to sales by state. But we can go a step further here to say, right, attribute measure, if we call that attribute parameter, so use the @ symbol to kind of bring alive that little menu there, and there's the options that we've got. Attribute parameter, this is the column name. If you watch what happens now, if I come out of this, there we go. You might not be able to see that very easily, but state down here has changed because we've got state selected in the parameter. If I toggle that to product, you'll see exactly the same thing happen, product down there. And the final piece we can do here is top selling. So if we change this text to sales by, and again attribute parameter, come out of that, sales by product, because it knows that the attribute parameter is product. I change that out to state. Sales by state appears in the chart title, and again in the axis title. We can do this one step further. I'll probably fast forward this section of the video, but I can follow those steps again, but for the measure. So now we've got sales by state. If I change that to quantity purchased, the whole chart's going to update now. You can see the title says quantity purchased by state, the axis says quantity purchased, and then we've got by state. So effectively, one chart doing the work of 6 charts. Okay, so this next one we've got is a fairly basic one. It's just the ability to hide filters that are not relevant to a particular Liveboard. So you can see we've got this Liveboard on screen here. We've got some filters across the top, state, product, and date. And we've also got a second tab. And on this second tab is another KPI. This doesn't come from the same data source, so those filters do not apply. And you can see here, there's no filters. In previous versions of ThoughtSpot, you would still see those filters across the top. You could still interact with them, but it wouldn't impact the particular charts that weren't using the same data source. But now you can see I can bring them out if I want to, or I can hide them. So it's as simple as that. The next one I was going to show you is the ability to add a KPI to the watch list direct from a Liveboard or from an answer. So previously you had to go into the answer, sort of start to navigate away from what you're looking at in order to add that to your watch list. Within here now, straight in the Liveboard, I can come to the 3 dots and go to add to watch list. Click on that. It gets added straight to my home watch list, and then when I log into ThoughtSpot, go to the home page or the insights page, you can see the KPIs that you're watching at that stage. Simple as that. Another nice quick one that I'm going to show you here is the ability now within this version to copy formulas and parameters. So what we've got here, if we look at any formulas that exist in this answer, we don't have any, so let's just do a really basic one, average sales, that's fine. If you want to make another one that's kind of a variation on that theme, you don't have to start from scratch or go into this and edit, copy the syntax, paste it into a new one. You can simply now click on the 3 dots, make a copy. A copy of average sales, and this could be sum, for example. Same can be done for parameters. Again, just makes it very easy for the analyst who's actually creating some of the answers to more easily create additional ones based on top of existing calculations. The penultimate one we're going to look at here, again, a nice, simple, straightforward one. It's just the ability to be able to reorder parameters. So if I edit a Liveboard that's using a parameter here, you can see we've got some filters on this tab, and I can simply, this is a parameter because it's the dark color, I can actually drag that now and reorder the filters and parameters order list. Previously that wasn't available. That's a minor thing, but it's actually helpful for creating the end Liveboard to look and feel exactly how you want it to. And last but not least, we've got this AI and BI system Liveboard, which is new. So you can find this if you've got the correct privileges in the admin pane. Down here you've got AI and BI stats, and it comes up like this as the AI and BI system Liveboard. And it basically gives you a nice overview of everything that's going on the cluster, and this is across orgs if you've got orgs enabled. And you can see there's just lots of different bits of information here around your model usage, Liveboard usage, answers, and so on. Lots of different tabs, lots of information within that. I'd recommend going to the ThoughtSpot releases page to have a look at what this means. AI and BI system Liveboard, loads of information there in terms of actually what the Liveboard can tell you, types of information it's got, such as credit, consumption, performance, productivity, etc. So well worth having a read through that. I'm not going to go through that in any great detail, but it's a new feature that's been added in version 10.11. So that's it with this video. We've looked at all the new features of version 10.11 in ThoughtSpot Cloud. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Stick around for some more content. We'll constantly be releasing videos, and of course next month we'll be looking at the next version that comes out and the new features that are included in that. Check out our other videos for other useful ThoughtSpot content that we've created, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.